Well, welcome back to Radio Entrepreneurs, the show that's always streaming every day. Stories of entrepreneurship. Over 7 years, over 1 million people have listened to our stories. And I think this next one could be the one that pushes us over 10 million because it's a really critical topic to all people with assets, all people with businesses. Our tax laws are changing dramatically as of December 31st. David Appel, managing partner, Appel Advisors. Welcome, David.
Thank you very much, Jeffrey. Appreciate the invitation.
Well, what an introduction. Geez, not just an invitation. David, it is a big time. And I'll even say some of my clients are scrambling, to say the least. Things that they thought they were going to be holding off for years doing, they've got to do it now or else. And it's not just or else, it's that there's going to be major consequences of money they're going to lose, correct?
Yes. Yeah. It's one of these things where, there's certain laws in place. And, we've known since I've been in the insurance business for the last 29 years, estate tax law changes have changed like 7 times to the point where, as we were discussing earlier, where estate taxes even went to 0 at one point. And they've gone up and they're at the highest levels they've ever been, the estate tax exemptions. Right now, a married couple in the United States can protect $23.4 million. That expires under Trump's tax law in 2025. And if President Biden gets his way, that 11.7 million per person could drop to 3.5 million, under his Budget Reconciliation Act, which means a married couple can only protect $7 million, which in the Northeast, when houses are worth $2, $3, $4 million, that can put a lot of people over the tax threshold relatively quickly. And planning needs to be done when they start realizing that 40 cents of every dollar over 7 million could be taxed on every dollar.
Wow. Tell me more.
Well, I mean, one of the things that, we're scrambling a little bit on the life insurance industry, and we have legislators and lobbyists fighting in Washington right now, dealing with, with senators and their staff, is, they're talking about now Grantor Trusts have always been a very key play in the estate planning side. And Grantor Trusts are typically what are irrevocable life insurance trusts, where there's trusts that hold life insurance, where you gift premiums to, and anything held inside a Grantor Trust is typically outside of someone's estate. So if you hold a couple $1 million life insurance policy in an irrevocable trust, that's removed from the estate and not counted. So no matter how much life insurance you have in there, it goes income tax free to the trust. And then once that trust, and it's inside the trust, it's not includable. What Biden's proposal right now is trying to do is any gifts to those Grantor Trusts, they want to exclude now future gifts to these Grantor Trusts. So premiums being paid can be counted back into the estate and taken off a life insurance death benefit. So let's just say, for a quick, like an easy example, you now, if this law passes and you put $200,000 of premium into $1 million policy into a Grantor Trust, they want to now say that you have to include $200,000 from on an estate tax level off of that million. So it's not a clean million that's going to the family, based on this law. So there's a lot of moving parts going on right now. And like, as you said, clients are scrambling because if right now, really a couple could gift up to $23 million out of their estate. But if this law changes and it reduces down, they lose that. They can't go back and gift that money anymore.
And for some people, it's substantial, correct?
In regards to what the potential tax they could be looking at?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like I recently, I did an analysis last week for a client here in Boston, where the estate was, let's say it's approximately $40 million. And I said, under the current tax law, they have between Massachusetts and federally, they had a $30 million estate. Under current tax law, they have about a $4 million tax today between Massachusetts and federal. Irrespective of what Biden does, even if it rolls back, if Trump's law rolls back in 2025, their tax quadruples. It goes from 4 million to 16 million. It goes to almost half the estate is gone.
Which can ruin a family.
Absolutely. Because then it's a fire sale, depending on if they have liquid assets or if they have hard assets or a small family business. It's not like you have hard assets or a small family business. That could be a fire sale. I always bring back, the story which people forget about of, Joe Robbie and the Robbie family back with the Miami Dolphins. When Joe Robbie passed away, they owed so much money to the federal government. That's when they had to sell the football team to Huzanga, and they lost one of the most profitable teams in NFL history. And they had to sell the stadium, and they had to sell a lot of their assets to come up with. Uncle Sam wanted his money 9 months later, and that family got wiped out.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Such a valuable franchise. And
Yep.
so, what are company owners doing? What are your clients doing about this, working on this legislation? Has there been lobbying going on? Is any of this still in play?
Yes, it's all still in play. There's still no clear decision as of today. We're hoping that within a week or two, we might have some more legislation. I mean, I'm advising my clients right now that have irrevocable life insurance trusts, if they can, to future fund some of the premiums. Put extra premiums into the irrevocable trust today before the end of the year, before this law passes. So then because once it's in the trust, they can't claw it back out. So, we're future funding some premiums. We're talking about, if the law does pass, we're going to be able to do some intra-family loans at the low, AFR rates that are out there, meaning that, that the families can loan, trust the money, and do different things. We might have to revert some of the policies back to split dollar policies, depending on if we don't have the ability to gift a lot of money into these already established grantor trusts. We're going to have to come up with some other ways to make this all happen. So I'm trying to advise people to, I'm talking to everybody, a lot of my clients who have grantor trusts, especially who are paying significant premiums over 6 figures a year. I'm, targeting those clients first, where they're spending more than $100,000 a year on life insurance premiums.
Well, not just how your clients are being affected. I think the whole life insurance industry is being affected, and that tends to be a big lobby as well.
Huge, yes.
Huge lobby.
I mean, life insurance for decades and decades and decades and decades has always fought to keep life insurance income tax free to the beneficiaries, and any internal growth inside of an insurance policy to grow tax deferred. And they've done a good job, keeping those two things, no matter, through all the changes and all the tax changes, they've kept that going. And what's kind of interesting is I actually have a few senators as clients. I don't understand how they're going to pass this, because probably I would have to say 98% of the senators own irrevocable life insurance trusts where they've built, they have life insurance outside of their estate. And I just can't see them passing a law that's actually going to be detrimental to themselves too.
You can almost say that the two things in life, death, taxes, pharmaceutical, and life insurance profits. I probably am a little bit more optimistic that the life insurance industry, and you're right, and our Congress and senators, our elected officials, are not going to want to rock their own boat.
No, I don't think so. They haven't in the past. All of us, from estate planning attorneys, to people that are playing in the higher end of the insurance industry, we shook our heads when this came in the legislation. Like, how could they possibly, do this? This has been like a staple, planning tool for years and years and years and years. And they're just really trying to shake the tree, and see what happens. So it's been unclear.
On the other side, being not political, let's say, I understand the Democrats are trying to close some of these wide open doors of wealth because there's too much debt, and they're trying to find ways to lower debt in the country. This was a logical place to go, but every time the Democrats go after life insurance industry, they fail. They did with Obama as well.
And when you really look at some of the numbers, it really is kind of small potatoes compared to the overall number that they need to come up with. And I think that's part of the reason that they fail at the end of the day, because you're still dealing with such a small percentage of people in the United States that are dealing with this issue. I mean, there's certainly been a hell of a lot more millionaires and a hell of a lot more multimillionaires over the last number of years, but it's still really, when you really look at the numbers compared to the overall population, it's pretty small.
Well, David, I'm sure you're going to be very busy right now and into the new year. For those who don't respond to it, I know yesterday I spent half the day in law offices with family business clients working on some of these issues. So if someone was looking for you and your help, how would they find you?
They can either go to my website, appeladvisors.com, or they can find me where our physical office is in Newton Corner, or they can email me, david@appeladvisors.com. So
That's great, David. And we like having you on the show. We know you're going to come back soon. There's so much going on. So we look forward to seeing you again on Radio Entrepreneurs.
Thank you, Jeff.